Alright guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing another build guide, and we're actually going to be focusing on supports today. This is just prior to Alice being released into the game on the 14th of December. I do believe he comes out later tonight or early tomorrow. But yeah, this build guide will still be very relevant, at least until next year. If anything changes, we'll make another video going over that. But yeah, let's get into it. This is going to be the general support guide video. I'll be going over the do's and don'ts, the ifs and buts, and the whens. Starter items, let's get this kicked off right away. The only one you should be picking up really is Sentinel's Gift. War Flag is a no-no. If I see any of you guys picking War Flag, please watch the video. War Flag's bad, don't build it, please ever. War Flag is a good meme in Assault, that's about it. Spartan Flag, dog shit item as an upgrade, really bad. It's terrible. You get no protections from this, the power it gives you is negligible, and the passive is pretty useless. War Banner, actually not terrible, but honestly, you'll do better off with Sentinel's Gift. Benevolence, really good if you can get to Compassion, but I do think that Sentinel's Gift generally edges it out in terms of usefulness, and the passive on the actual Sentinel's Gift gives you a lot more gold, so it helps you to keep in the game. So Sentinel's Gift is what I'm going to recommend to most people to build. In terms of actually what you're going to have when you start the game, when you've just loaded in, I like to start off straight into stacks. We go Glowing Emerald here, because we're going to be moving into a Gauntlet of Thebes. And I know this goes against a lot of what people who play the game quite a bit would say, just because it gives no protections when you build it right away. You have to earn them by getting assists on minions. One assist is one stack, and that's one protection, and it caps at 50. Once you're at 50 stacks, you'll get an extra 10 of each protections, giving this a total of 60 protections and 30 power, and that is really good. It's actually the best statted defensive item in the game, which is why I recommend it to most people. So I do think that this is a really good item to learn to play around in the early game. I know it sucks to stack, but it's good to get as early as possible as well. What else are you going to have, you're wondering? Potions and stuff. You will be able to afford exactly 5 health potions and a hog. So this is generally what your items are going to look like. We'll go over relics in a hot second. This music has too many words in it. I'm going to skip it. Good. You will have exactly enough gold for this. You won't have 1 more cent. You will be exactly on 0 gold with this build, which means it's really cost effective. You need the 5 healing potions for sustain, and you need the hog to get to lane as fast as possible. Relic wise, the main options you're going to be looking at here are Meditation, Shell, and Blink. You could teeter around and mess around a bit with Horrific Emblem, but overall I would recommend you gravitating towards these 3 relics. Meditation and Shell being the better defensive options. Meditation's really good at the moment since it's changes. It helps you to sustain in lane, just keep around, get extra farm, and bait for fights really well. Problem with Meditation over a Shell is, although Shell is less useful in the early game, you actually get less from it in terms of defense. And this also gives you actual health, whereas this gives you a shield that disappears. Late game, when people have anti-heal, Meditation Cloak does nothing, because anti-heal does affect the healing you get from Meditation Cloak, so if they've got enough of it, you'll be healing literally nothing. But early game up to mid game, it's quite useful, and for fighting on objectives and getting a fire giant secured while everyone's on low health, it can be very useful. So I'd say mess around with these 2, learn the strengths, but Blink is also the hidden factor here. It's a big but. Only some characters are going to want to build it. I'll go over those right now. You're looking at your Ymirs, your Athenas, your Gebs, your Ares. I'm probably missing a couple. Your Cerberus, Kuzenbo. All those supports really like Blink. The reason is they have really good engage abilities. Kuzenbo can use it. Blink in, uses dash, push someone towards his team, quite like how what do you call it? A tier or a having a moment right now. A tier or Hercules would blink behind someone and push them into your team. Geb would like it because of his ult, and so would Ares. Geb is actually not terrible even without his ult, because you can blink knock up, and I know the knock up doesn't sound very good, but you can't beads a knock up. What I mean by that is, blink, knock up. You can't beads while you're in there. It's not going to make you come back down to the ground any faster. So knock ups are actually the strongest form of crowd control in the game, because you cannot beads out of them. Yeah, so quite useful overall. Sorry, I'm just going to turn some audio down for myself. But yeah, I would recommend getting Blink on all of those characters previously mentioned. I'll probably just put them up on the screen here just so you know who really likes a blink. And you're definitely going to want to learn to play with the blink. I know it's pretty scary because it's not an offensive relic for a lot of people who are learning, but I would definitely recommend getting used to your blinks. Alright, let's get into builds now, later into the game. We'll say you've gotten to about level 4 to 5, you should be getting ready to leave your lane and go to the mid lane and help protect your mid laner. Whoever that is, you know, it could be a carry, it could be a mage, probably a mage though for the most part, especially at lower levels of play. By the time you back at level 5, if you haven't gotten any kills and you haven't had a lot of stuff going on, no deaths, you will have enough for this exactly. I would recommend always grabbing a chalice as a support. It's really good value for money. You don't want to be wasting your money as a support because you don't get a lot of kills or last hits. You're relying on the gold from Sentinel's gift and the kindness of your allies to split camps with you. So definitely pick up a chalice as soon as you can, just so you have that healing. And I wouldn't sell this at any point in the game, no matter how much people tell me to, unless you are at the very, very end of the game. Chalice of Healing is so much healing overall, 250 times 3, so that is what, 750 health, especially early to mid game, really valuable. I can see you selling this about 20 minutes, maybe even earlier if you really need those, what do you call it, sentry wards and regular wards out, but I would like to hold on to this as much as possible, and I would recommend new players do the same. You're going to be fighting and protecting the mid laner. By the time you're about level 7, level 8, you should have enough gold for a full Gauntlet of Thebes. Not even level 7 or level 8. Level 7, you should have enough gold for a Gauntlet of Thebes. If you're behind that marker, that's okay. You just need to be playing defensive and getting farm split where you can. Once you've got your Thebes online, you're going to be proving quite health tanky, but you're not physically tanky, right? So you can get hit by more abilities, but they're not going to be mitigated much. So when you get your Gauntlet of Thebes, you need to be playing rather defensively. You're going to be looking to split waves where you can and get those stacks up. You're going to get exponentially tankier with your stacks because you've actually got no protections when it's not stacked. But when it is stacked, you have 60 of each, which is quite impressive. Look at that. We're up to 110 physical, 106 magical. Getting that stacked is imperative. I will say, I won't always recommend this. I should mention this earlier, but if you're still watching, then you're going to hear this anyways. There's actually a single case where I would recommend going Sov, and that's if most of the team is a physical team. So if the support that you're versing on the enemy team is a Horus who also likes to get blink, or something more aggressive like an a Mulan or an Hercules, Sovereignty, not a bad pickup, especially if the jungler is also a physical, so the only magical character in the game is the mid laner. Sovereignty can be really good, strong first pickup just to help the mid laner survive those early ganks. Those 15 protections can go a very long way in the early game. After that though, you will definitely want to be getting your Gauntlet of Thebes going, or you're going to be going into this tree, which we'll be building into with both those pickups. Sovereignty first item, I would always recommend afterwards still getting into the Daggers tree. I will now explain the Daggers tree. As a character with Blink, I always recommend getting Relic Dagger. Xingqian, Athena, Ares, Geb, Kuzenbo, get a Relic Dagger. Get a Relic Dagger, get a Relic Dagger, get a Relic Dagger. People are going to tell me why. I know a lot of supports I see don't build it. The reason is you can do that much more often. Sorry, you can do that much more often. You get 40 seconds off all of your relics, hence the name Relic Dagger. 40 seconds off your relics might sound a bit like, oh, well, it doesn't give any protections, it's not very useful. Well, getting 40 seconds worth of extra relics in the game could mean you get an extra 3 or 4 blinks off, and that can be the difference between a win and a loss, and often it is. So yeah, Relic Dagger, a really incredible pickup. It's very cheap. The stats it gives actually aren't bad at all. The movement speed, very useful for getting around as a support, which you will need to do as you will have to start learning how to rotate. The health it gives you, quite hefty, 350, some of the most in the game. I think it is actually up there. Cooldown reduction and crowd control reduction. Really strong item. Get it for anyone who gets blink, please. If you're not playing someone who likes blinks too much and you're playing someone who's a bit more standstillish, maybe a Capri or something like that, and you know you're pretty easy pickings because you use your dash and it can get body blocked, Winged Blade is a really good item for supports as well. 25 magical protections, 200 health, a little bit of crowd control reduction, and move speed. Passive is why we buy it though. When you get hit by a slow, you get a move speed boost instead of a slow. And it can proc, I think, every 40 seconds, every 30 seconds. So every 30 seconds, someone hits you with a slow and you can sprint out even faster than what you were supposed to be moving at regular speed. It will save your bacon so much as a support in the early game, because you are often quite susceptible to getting killed, especially if you don't think, oh, if you have the mindset, sorry, of, oh, I'm a support, they won't ult me. If I see a support acting greedy like that, I will ult you, because if you're behind, you're not tanky. If you're not tanky, you're not helping anybody, you know? So keeping yourself alive is a priority as a support, and that's why you have to be pretty careful if you get a Gauntlet of Thieves. But anyways, third item will always be the same for me. It will always be a Pride Win. Pride Win is a very, very strong item for solo laners and supports at the moment. It gives you 30 of each protections, 20% cooldown, and you get an ultimate shield when you you get an overshield every time you use your ultimate, and it goes on cooldown. That is very important to remember. Watch my Geb ult here. Bang, it's on cooldown. I get the shield straight away above my health bar. Some characters have ultimates that are actually channeled, which means that while they're actually going, you don't get the overshield. Ults that come to mind include Fafnir, I think Kuzenbo ult, Ares ult, but Ares ult's still really good because it's such a short activation time, and Kuzenbo as well. But someone like a Fafnir who transforms into a dragon while he's in his dragon form, which late game lasts up to 45 seconds, you don't get that overshield until you're transforming back into human form. I wouldn't recommend getting it on someone like a Fafnir, but I would recommend getting it on most supports in the game. Ironically enough, getting 20% cooldown, 30 of each prots, shield when you ult, all for 2400 gold is really, really good value, and supports need really, really good value. So please, 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 in every support build except for, basically just Fafnir, I recommend Pride Win. It's also great on Athena, which is weird because her ult's like something you don't always use, but I would definitely recommend it on her because a lot of times you're ulting in to save people. Alright, so we're going to say you've got your Relic Day, you've got your Pride Win, you've got your Gauntlet of Thieves. This is very much for a traditional style support. I do apologize for not being able to speak. Do remember though, if you're not playing a character who likes to blink in a lot, and you're versing a pretty heavy physical team, getting a Sovereignty instead of a Relic Dagger here, not going to be the end of the world. You still get your 20% cooldown from Pride Win, and you're actually quite a bit tankier. Sovereignty also providing a very large amount of HP 5, which doesn't seem like a lot of value to a lot of people who are newer to the game, but this HP 5 is literally like you've got a health pot ticking constantly. It's quite impressive. It'll keep you going, and it also gives it to your to your allies. So quite useful. Back to the traditional build I was building. You're now entering what do I build for who territory. This is kind of your outline build. I'm going to skip this song. I don't know what this is, but I don't want it. This is kind of a really good outline build, but you're going to hit the point now where you need to decide what's doing the most damage to you, and what do you need to help people with the most. Usually you'll figure out if the carry or the jungler or the solo laner, who might be a physical or a guardian, is swinging the hardest, who's causing your team the most stress. If it's a physical thing that's causing your team a lot of trouble and the mage isn't giving you guys too much sweat, or it's a Nox or something like that who's a lot more single target oriented, I would recommend grabbing something like a Sovereignty. The aura protections alongside the aura protections you already get from Gauntlet of Thebes means you give everyone 25 protections, which doesn't sound like a whole lot. It's about a half of an item usually. 20 there, 35 there. Silver Breastplate's actually a really good two-part item. But yeah, 25 aura protections, really, really good value. Although you're only giving 25 physical, you're actually only giving 10 magical. By the time you have your fourth item, you get even more, but we'll explain that in a second. I do recommend usually going a Sob if you're having those kind of physical damage difficulties. If you're not having those problems at all, and it's mostly magical that's causing you trouble, Heartwater Amulet, very, very good aura protections item. It gives 20 magical protections in an aura rather than the 15 that Sov gives. But you could also opt out. This is the beauty of getting this tree, by the way. If you need anti-heal, Pestilence is probably the best defense anti-heal item in the game, better than Contagion in my opinion, because it gives 80 magical protections. That's a massive amount, colossal amount. Or if you just want to be tankier, you don't need to give your team protections and you feel like they're all okay, they're all doing fine, and that anti-heal's not a problem. You know, they don't have a Hel, they don't have a Aphrodite, they don't have a Yamoja, they don't have a Bastet with healing, or a Thanatos, or a... There's a lot of people that have healing in the game that anti-heal's very valuable for. Anyways, you could opt in, instead of those items, if you feel like you just want to be tankier, to a Warlock of Hope. It gives you an overshield when you hit 40% health. It's equal to 15% of your maximum health, and as a support, you're pretty bulky, so your overshield should be about, what is it, 450 HP, which is quite a lot for them to cut through on top of your Pride Wind shield. It's really, really good defensive item. It gives you a lot of health, it gives you crowd control reduction, and it also gives you a metric crap ton of magical prods. So it's really, really, really good. Also, by this point in the game, I should say you will be well above level 12. You should be 14, 15, 16. I'd say about 16 by this point in the game. 17 if you're doing well. Sorry, 18 if you're doing well. 16 if you're not, hopefully. Sometimes supports do fall more behind because they do become easy pickings to really, really snowbally teams, so keep that in mind. But you will actually have the ability at level 17, not 20, rather than most other classes, in fact all of the classes, to buy your starter item, Evolved starter item. Now I'm going to recommend for most people, you just go Sentinel's Embrace. The aura protections that it gives are insane. If you're in a 2v2, right, you're actually giving your teammate, alongside your other protections, what is that? If you get a Golem Thebes and a Sob here instead of a Bulwark or a Heartward, you'll be giving the other person with you almost 100 protections. They're going to be quite tanky, despite obviously, hopefully not hopefully, but potentially not having any defensive items. And it does share those protections with teammates around you. They do get a little bit less if they're split up, because Sentinel's Embrace splits them up among teammates, but it's still very potent. Sentinel's Embrace is really, really useful late game. It means pen becomes a necessity for the enemy team, so do pick that up. When you hit level 17, it should be a priority. Now in the last slot here, the last spot is definitely the flex slot. You need to decide what you need. If anti-heal is a priority and they don't have a crit hunter, it's very important that I say if they don't have a crit hunter, because usually they do. You can go Divine Ruin. Divine Ruin, I know it looks a bit funky, but getting that flat pen actually provides a lot of extra damage for Guardians in particular. Guardians don't have the best power scaling, but they have very good base damage. So getting flat pen just means the base damage of those abilities gets through that much harder. It also provides 40% anti-heal, which is a lot better than the paltry 25% you get from aura prots. So being able to apply that is good, and because you're a Guardian, usually, you could be a Horus and this becomes a bit different, but because you're a Guardian, usually, you got really, really big abilities, which means you apply the Divine Ruin really well. It's a very, very good last item on supports, and I don't see it get picked up enough because people will have a stigma against damage items on supports. So I would recommend it if you're not having trouble being tanky and you have a problem with healing, mostly. Now, if you don't have a problem with healing, or if you don't have that as an option because there's a crit hunter, Spectral Armor is a necessity to keep yourself alive. Keeping yourself alive is definitely a thing that you want to do. I know you're out there to keep other people alive, but if you're dead, then who's going to keep them alive, you know? Second, relic wise, I should have covered this already, I'm sorry. Shell or Sprint. If you got a blink first relic, don't get mid late game, just because it doesn't really provide much for the team. Most likely they're going to have full anti-heal in the enemy team, so you're actually not going to be able to heal up nearly as much as you would be able to normally, unless you're outside of a team fight. Which at that point, you're not giving value inside of a team fight. Sprint is honestly my preferred relic, because the best way to stop people from taking damage isn't to give them the shield, it's to get them out. I love getting sprinted. It helps me juke, it helps me chase. Heavenly Sprint upgraded also is a really, really incredible relic. It gives everyone haste, which means that when I pop it, I can auto attack with no movement speed penalty. Carries love this, jungle loves this, sometimes the warriors love this. It's a really, really useful last 5 seconds, and it makes you immune to slows. Very, very strong relic. Make sure you remember to upgrade your relics, by the way. Upgrading Blink, like if I back to the base and I'm actually getting an item, or I'm pretty shy off an item and I have 500 gold lying around and I've got Blink, I will always buy the upgrade, because the upgrade for Blink is a cooldown reduction down from 140 to 120. And if you've got a Relic Dagger, that stacks. So you're at a 60-second reduction to Blink. You're doing this 60 seconds more than the enemy support, just because you've upgraded your Blink and you've got a Relic Dagger. Very, very, very strong. Very, very strong. So yeah, last item, definitely a flex pick. Second last item, also a flex pick, but the second last one's more just dependent on what you need to survive. whereas the last one's more of like a, do they have crit or do they have healing that needs to be anti-healed. Now I will say, if neither of those are an issue, and you just want to be tankier, but it's not like crit's killing you, or it's not like there's a particular one, you just want to be tankier, the best item for being just generally tankier, Mantle of Discord, hands down. Nothing even comes close. Mantle of Discord, 60 of each protections, the cooldown, which isn't necessarily too important because you've got 30% with this build. The priority is the passive. When you hit 30% health, you've got this overshield at 40%, you've got this shield from this, but if they manage to somehow take you down to 30% health below all that, you unleash a shockwave that stuns everyone within 20 units, which is a decent amount. They have to be probably within double melee range or triple the melee range. It stuns them instantly. It doesn't have to do anything on your part, and it works way more often than you think it would. Oh, I don't have control of this stun, it happens at 30%. There is so many times where this Mantle of Discord proc has saved my life and helped me win games even. And it's also good on other roles as well. But anyways, it only triggers once every 90 seconds. It also makes you CC immune, which is great to remember. If you're getting CC chained and then mental procs, you have basically popped a beads or used a CC immune ultimate like Gebol. Really, really good. Really, really good. So overall, I'll flash the flex picks on the screen, but go Divine Ruin if you don't need anti-crit and you just want to kind of stop the team that you're versing from healing too much. Go Spectral Armor if you want to make it more difficult for your enemies to kill you with crit, because often crit is in the meta and it's pretty much built on all carries. So you're going to be seeing this item a whole lot. But if it's neither, Mantle of Discord. You are overcapping on magical protections, but you won't be with teammates around because the protections from your Sentinel's Embrace will split off. Yep, that's been the build for the most part. This is for more of your defensive supports. I can also cover warrior supports if you guys want, but that will definitely be a separate video. Let me know in the comments if you have any, wants for the videos, anything you want to see improved or changed. Please let me know. I hope you guys have a really nice day. I hope to see you guys again, and take care of yourselves. Hopefully I see you guys in stream, which I probably should have mentioned earlier, but yeah, I stream. I'll see you guys later. Peace.